Hello, and welcome to Star Wars Obsessed. I'm in my Chewbacca onesie to present another video detailing more of my Star Wars collection. My collection is behind this very flimsy plastic covering, and it's an inexpensive way to keep out the dust. And now, my collection. So a few years ago, I had a friend who wanted to sell his Star Wars collection, and he had quite a few pieces that I wanted. So I purchased this Y-Wing fighter from him, and I also purchased this TIE Interceptor from him. I was so grateful because these are pieces that I've always wanted, but never had back when I was a kid, back in the 80s. And I was fortunate enough to be able to purchase these at a reasonable price from my friend. Over here is the radio controlled R2D2 that I purchased recently on eBay, and I featured it in a video. Okay, down here a little bit. The ATST and the ATST driver that I got back in the 80s. This is something that I purchased a few years ago. It was Luke Skywalker's Skyhopper. And this is another piece that my friend was selling, and so I purchased this from him. It's from Return of the Jedi. I don't remember the name of it. This is the Boba Fett that was available for purchase. It's the rocket firing Boba Fett that they offered to the special mail order. And this is the Darth Vader. And this is for, as you can see, the 30th anniversary coin album that I got a few years ago. The A-Wing fighter that I got back in the 80s with the A-Wing pilot. The A-Wing pilot. Back in about 88 or 89, I had a friend who had a very large Star Wars collection. I may have mentioned this in other videos, and this same friend gave me all of his Star Wars collection. And this is a piece that he had, the Jawa Droid Factory. That is complete. And he also gave me the Creature Cantina. Obviously, this figure is from the 90s, and he came with that piece, so I added that to the Creature Cantina. This is another figure that's from the 90s, but these are obviously the figures from the 80s. This is one of those mini rigs, and I got that from my other friend who was selling his Star Wars collection a few years ago. And these are droids that I've had, as well as the Jawa figures. Here on this shelf, I have the Imperial Hoth base. This is something that I had from the 80s. Original figure, the original Wampa. Over here. This is another piece that my friend gave to me back in the 80s, about 88, 89. An original lunchbox. This is a mini rig that I had back in the 80s, early 80s, along with the original figures, all original figures. This is the Ewok catapult, but I did not have that in the 80s. My friend who was selling his collection a few years ago, had this. And when I decided to go purchase his figures, I just purchased some of the collection. He was selling this for $30, and I just thought, wow, that's pretty pricey. So I didn't purchase it, but but when Christmas rolled around that same year, it was a present given to me by my husband. So I was very, very happy about that, and I was very, very grateful that he got it for me. Here is a coin from the Power of the Force, the first Power of the Force. This is Luke Skywalker, Rebel Leader. Okay, going down. few more pieces to my collection. These are the original Star Wars fan club cards, member cards. This one has my Force number, which is basically my member number. And then when I renewed and I got another one, I didn't want to write on it or ruin it. So this one is pristine condition. And I believe this came with a renewal. This is a iron-on, I believe, an iron-on patch. In the 90s, we saw the metallic card series. And this is another postcard, very nice art that I decided to frame. A Princess Leia from The Power of the Force Part 2, where she looks very buff and not very attractive. And this is a more recent release, and I decided to purchase this because it is a figure that was not made before, and I like to do that. And I like that it's in the original Star Wars packaging style. The Darth Vader's collector's case. This was another item that my friend sold, and I obviously purchased. It's something I always wanted. I have a friend who works at a thrift store, and when this came into the store, this 8-track tape of the Star Wars soundtrack. So I was pretty jazzed that he got this for me. Down here is the Star Wars video game for Nintendo. And then original Star Wars figures and original Sans GIF that I got back in the 80s. All of these from the 80s. The Lando Calrissian, R2-D2. This pen was given to me recently. This is one of those really cool necklaces that came out way back in, was it the 70s maybe? Or late 70s? Early 80s maybe? This is the only one I've ever had. And I know that there's a C-3PO and an R2-D2, but I've never gotten around to getting those. I may look at that, see if I can get that. This is something that I got, I think, in the 90s. It's got an original, as you can read, it has an original movie cell. It's pretty cool. (2-1B) Empire Strikes Back collector's case. This one's a lot better condition than my Star Wars case. Okay, lower still. Okay, these were really cool. Heroes playing cards found at the 99-cent store. So it was a really good deal. More cards that I liked and framed. A sticker that I like. I thought was really cool, and I decided to frame it. Figures, extra collecting cards, another mini rig. Here's the villains collecting cards. And here's one of my favorite parodies of Star Wars called Hardware Wars. And as you can see there, it is signed by the original actress who played Princess Android. I actually got to meet her sometime in the mid-90s. So it was really cool. She was really nice. So I will always treasure this one. It says, to Richard, may the force be with you, Princess Cindy Android Freeling. So that's a really cool piece in my collection. I love this parody. It's a lot of fun. Another figure I purchased because it had never been released before this one, so I wanted to get, again, I like to collect figures that, if they're newer but they had never been released in the 80s, I like to purchase them. Okay, Princess Leia in Boushh. The ghost, the ghostly Ben Kenobi, and this is the one that was free, the free giveaway. Sega CD, Star Wars chess, that was a lot of fun. Back there is the making of Star Wars, and then the making of Return of the Jedi VHS tapes. Here's my Jabba the Hutt, the original Jabba the Hutt playset figure. All complete, all original. Poofy stickers. I bought all kinds of Star Wars stuff that I could find, especially when it was nice and cheap, because I could afford that when I was a kid. Poofy stickers, more extra cards. Okay, down here, the last part on this shelf. I purchased this sometime. When did I do that? Was it this year? Ugh, sometimes it's a blur. I can't ever tell. But yeah, this is something that I've always wanted, and I saw it and I decided to get it. It's working, it functions wonderfully. I'm happy to have this. And more extra cards. Okay, more card art that I framed. More art. Found this at a thrift store. So I think I only paid about $2 for this figure. Another one I never had before. The Princess Leia, Slave Leia outfit. I believe I have 2 of those. One of the original Star Wars comic books. And the Escape from Death Star game. This one I got recently, probably about a year or 2 ago. It was something else that I hadn't had when I was a kid. And it was pretty cheap. I found it on eBay. Really cheap. I think it was about $10. And it's complete, so I was excited. So I decided to get it. So there you go. That's another part of my collection, my wonderful, wonderful Star Wars collection. And stay tuned for more. I do have a lot more that I can feature. Thank you for watching.